What's up, family? Welcome to another episode of the Mental Game Podcast, man. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. If you're new here, I appreciate you pulling up. Thank you. And if you've been rocking with me, you already know. Try to keep it real over here. You know what I'm saying? Thank you for tuning in again. Quick shout out to the clothing brand, Mental Game. Also, we're gonna continue to shout out to the Daddy Hood, the hardest hood to be a part of. Daddy Hood all month long, you know what I'm saying? All month long, I want to give flowers to the fathers, man. Not just the niggas with kids, you know what I'm saying? I'm talking about real daddies, man. Real daddies out here. The real fathers, the active fathers, the providers, the protectors, the teachers, the men who was always involved, you know what I'm saying? Daddyhood, you know what I'm saying? Like fatherhood, but cooler. I'm sitting here. My little brother, my little big brother, Sam, he got me hooked on to this app, man. People be auctioning stuff off, man. You get some pretty good deals on stuff. I don't want to put the name out there because I don't know if I don't know if it made it mainstream. Yeah, I'm finna gatekeep this one, man, because I've been getting a lot of good stuff from it. So, I'm sitting here watching the auction right now and make sure I win this bag for my wife. Still got the Daddyhood sale going on, the short sets for the summer. My website's still down right now, currently down. So, hit me directly. Mentalgame@gmail.com. Those of you out here that watch my podcast, y'all know my number. Text me, whatever. Hey, I want to order, this size and, whatever. But right now, if you need a ship, man, the sets is $60 with free shipping. So y'all hit me up, man, if you need a daddyhood set. You know what I'm saying? The fathers out here, ladies, you know what I'm saying? Reach out, man. Get your the lucky father a gift, man. Nice Father's Day gift, man. To let him know he part of the daddyhood. You feel me? Birthday shout outs, man. I missed one, man. My little niece, Jaslyn, man. Her birthday and Carmen's birthday are on the same day. Shout out to you, Carmen. Shout out to you, Jaslyn. Shout out Ted. Shout out Court. And many other people. If I missed anybody in my family that's birthdays in June, y'all let me know, man. So shout out to the birthdays in June, man. Happy birthday to y'all from the Mental Game Podcast. We love y'all. Hope y'all live to see it many more. Shout out to the dads who sit in the driveway for 10 minutes before walking in the house. You know what I'm saying? Need that mental break before they go in and deal with them little, I want to say little badass kids with them, you know what I'm saying? Them little cheering, you know what I'm saying? They be running around the house, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to the fathers who could fix anything. With duct tape. Yeah. Shout out to the old school dads, man. Who use duct tape who think duct tape can solve world hunger. Shout out to them. I'm messing up my own bits, man. Shout out to the people that celebrating anniversaries. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to people that keep choosing each other each and every day, each and every year, day in, day out. Shout out to y'all, man. Shout out to the people surviving, celebrating survival anniversaries. I'm rambling. I'm trying to go too fast. Shout out to y'all. Shout out to the survivors. If you made it through something today, this week, that nobody clapped for, man, this one's to you. This one's for you. Shout out to you, man. Of course, like every week, I like to ground my podcast with a verse. Joshua 1:9 says, "Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. For the Lord God will be with you wherever you go." You know what I'm saying? For me, to you, the people that's watching this podcast, it means that no matter what season of life you're in, God is always with you, and God is always going to be with you. I just want y'all to continue to remember that. Shout out to my Aunt Alice again. she gave me this little tidbit information to give people, you know what I'm saying? Maybe this your first time tuning into the podcast. I say it on every podcast, man. Forgive yourself for not knowing earlier what only time could teach you. Basically, growth takes time, wisdom takes time, healing takes time. And sometimes life teaches lessons you couldn't have learned any other way. You know what I'm saying? To make that even more clear. So, forgive yourself, give yourself a little grace, man, for not knowing then what only time could teach you. So, uh, man, just keep that with you, man, because man, it's a lot of things you need to go through life and just gain experience for and from, man. Uh, because sometimes it might not have been the right time. You never know. You might have been putting up them shots, but just missing it because you didn't have that. You had that time in the gym. You know what I mean? To a little basketball, a little sports analogy, so maybe people could get that. But yeah, man. So I mean, Jordan wasn't great day one. LeBron wasn't great day one. Uh, Ray Lewis wasn't great day one. Tom Brady wasn't great day one. So you know, perfection takes time. You know what I'm saying? I've been doing this podcast for a few years now. I don't feel like I'm the best at it. I don't feel like I'm perfect at it. I feel like I get better each and every time. It's my opinion for myself. I feel like I get better and better every time that I get on here, and I got my notes and stuff to kind of go to. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like I get better and better each time I get on here. So you know, time is a teacher. Like that's real talk. But moving on to mental preparedness. By mental preparedness, it's time to start preparing, man, because mental strength isn't just about mindset. It's being prepared for anything that might have happened. You know what I'm saying? This week's tip is to learn a practical skill. Um, I think about my grandfather when I think of these things. You know what I'm saying? My grandfather knew how to fix things. He knew how to grow things. He knew how to build things. You know what I'm saying? I don't know about stretching money. um, you know what I'm saying? But, they pretty much had life kind of figured out. And I know it was probably simpler times back then, but I want to encourage everybody to learn practical skills. Learn how to MacGyver a few things because you never know in the pinch you might have to. Um, like I always say, make sure you stocked up on all your dry storage and stuff like that, just in case, you know what I'm saying? If you like me, you live in the Gulf states, you can expect a tropical storm to pass through, to dance through, whenever. So make sure y'all prepared for that and you know, get your things together. But on top of all that, man, learn a practical skill. You know what I'm saying? Skills create independence. And, you know, thank me later. But that knowledge really matters, man. You never know what you're gonna face down the line, man. So, um, my aunt Alice, man, I had asked a question last week, and my aunt Alice. She's an avid watcher of the podcast, and she sent me this long email after watching it. Um, I kind of triggered something, just talking about my dad and how he kind of improvised, impromptu Disney and Universal trip. You know what I'm saying? We went out there with no plan. Um, all my dad had booked was a hotel room, and we drove out there. My dad drove 14 hours straight out there and 14 hours back, man. Shout out to you, Dad, because, realizing now, I was going to make that drive, but I was just thinking about it, and I'm a truck driver, and I was going to make that drive, and I don't even think I can make that drive in one whole stretch. I'll probably drive like maybe part way. I'm going to say majority of the way, probably stop and sleep, and then drive out there the rest of the way. So I'll probably lose a whole week trying to drive a 14-hour trip. But to all you road warriors that can do it, man, don't come for me in the comments, man. But I couldn't do it. I ain't gonna lie to you, I couldn't do it. So shout out to you, Dad. But I kind of triggered something in her, and I had asked a question. Um, but man, it really made me think about my grandfather, man, my papa. Um, My grandfather was one of those old school men that like my aunt Alice put it, he was a jack of all trades and a master of some. He was the duct tape king. This man, this man duct taped my grandmother's work shoes. They were white, by the way. He duct taped them shoes and painted over the duct tape. So he was a master of duct tape. I remember he had this Christmas tree star that he would put up every year, and the older that thing got, the more the years passed, the more duct tape that thing got. So he could fix it. I believe he believed duct tape could fix anything. He was one of those people. Um, he could fix. He can do a little bit of body work. Um, my aunt also said one time she wrecked a car, and my grandfather beat the dents out of it himself. And then he had the nerve to paint the car like a neon yellow with dark green spots. They called the car Spot. Well, and meanwhile, my grandmother, I guess she did something to her car. She got a brand new Malibu, and my grandfather, he would roll around in Spot. Feel me? Um, he was also a handyman. General handyman, general painter. You know what I'm saying? She also, let me know he fixed everything. He painted the whole house by himself. I remember this was before the house was renovated. The house was white with red trimmings around all the windows and doors. It's crazy. It looked like something out of a cartoon that we used to watch when we were little. Um, and he did it all by himself. I heard, you know what I'm saying? Um, he was a good cook, man. Like I said, he was a gardener. Um, he did a little bit of hunting. You know what I'm saying? He just had those old school survivor skills, and you know what I'm saying? He made things work. He really, really did. He was a comedian. He was always joking, always, he kind of uh he was always messing with my grandmother, always rizzing her up, and always gassing her up too. Um, he stayed joking, man. He would always come in there, he'll hear a tune start playing, and he'll get the dancing and stuff. Um, that was one of the funniest things I remember. I remember him just coming in. He just had that old school two step that he would always do, man. Um, he was a jokester, man. One time he asked somebody what goes in hard and comes out limber. And my nana looked at him, was like, "Oh, honey," and he was like, "I'm talking about cabbage." But I was like, "Hold on, man." Like when my Alice told me that, I was like, "Nah." He was being away. But he was a loving husband. He was even if they were mad at each other, they wouldn't leave the house without kissing each other. Um, my grandparents came from a generation where they really believed in commitment. Um, my grandparents got together in their teens, and they were really together until death did them apart. You know what I'm saying? They were together forever. Um, I came into the picture later. I was each of my parents' second litter of babies, you know what I'm saying, of kids. And they were old then, and like my cousin Rudy said on a previous podcast, we were raised by old people. Um that's just the way that's the way it was for us, you know what I'm saying? My grandparents was well into their 60s and 70s, you know what I'm saying, when I came into the picture, but that generation was just different, man. My grandfather was also a protector. He was a provider. He protected the family, provided for the family, prayed for the family. Um, you know, he used to do all the little things. He did a lot of big things too. But he was a World War II veteran. Um, and just hearing all these stories that my aunt told me, I realized that my grandpa, he was really the complete package, man. He really did everything. Um, he really did everything. And just thinking about him, I miss him. Thankful to have had him in my life to learn from. Because I definitely picked up a few of his ways, you know what I'm saying? And, honestly, if I'm being honest, you know what I'm saying, I would say I'm just like my grandfather, you know what I'm saying? Just minus the hair. Because my grandpa had a head full of hair, man. And sometimes he'll walk around the house, that junk would stick up like Don King. Sometimes he'll go different kind of ways, but if he knew he had to go somewhere, he knew he had to step out that house, man. He'd get that can of pomade and and slick it back, you know what I'm saying? He'd make it work, you know what I'm saying? But shout out to my grandfather, man. I miss him. Papa, I know he's watching over me. I see him every day in the things that I do with my wife. I'm always picking on her and rizzing her and giving her a hard time, probably, raising her blood pressure and carrying on. But you know, it's people like that I strive to be because, he was in my book, regardless of what anybody has to say, I think he was a good man. The version I seen of him was a good man. He he loved my grandmother. He loved his kids. And even at his old age, man, he was always getting up and moving and trying to fix something and keep busy. So, shout out to Papa, man. I love you. I miss you. Yeah, I know you watching over me, and I hope you're proud. So, shout out to Papa, man. Um, I also want to talk about my big brothers, man. So speaking of father figures, early on in my life, they were father figures to me as well. My big brothers, Marcus, Aaron, and AJ. Um, you know, shout out to them. First of all, they all 10 plus years older than me. What I'm saying, they babysat me, they changed my diapers, they even rough me up sometimes. What I'm saying? Oh, I curse them out. I'm trying to stop cursing, but they even rough me up sometimes. But they also put me on the sports, video games. They put me on the wrestling. Um, got me into computers. Actually, I'm running my podcast right now through a computer I actually built. You know what I'm saying? With my brother, my big brother Aaron. Shout out to you, Aaron. What I'm saying? They were great big brothers. They still are what I'm saying? They still are great big brothers. What I'm saying? Even provide me, whether it's wisdom, provide me, some type of game, something if I need something monetary or just need something, what I'm saying? My brothers have always been there for me. And what I'm saying? Yeah, still great fathers to me to this day, father figures to me to this day, you know. Not saying that my dad wasn't present. My dad was very present, but my father figures, what I'm saying, were my brothers, growing up. Uh, they really stood in the gaps for like wherever my dad, I don't want to say couldn't, but like wherever I wasn't getting it from my dad, like I just didn't get it, what I'm saying, or I didn't see it, I saw it from them. You feel me? Um, there was a time, man. There was a time after my parents had a nasty divorce, you know. Um, some kind of weird way, me and my sister, we end up staying with my dad. Not gonna get into all that, there's no need for all that, what's understood don't have to be explained. If you know, you know. What I'm saying? If you don't know, you don't need to know. But um, all that's in the past. One thing I'll never forget is my brothers, they still showed up for me even in their hard times. And I remember one year I had a birthday party and regardless of how they felt about my dad at the time, they still came. They still showed up for me. And you know what I'm saying? They didn't stay they didn't stay that long that day. And even though they didn't stay a long time, they stayed a little while. Um, they showed up for me. And I really appreciate that. I really appreciated that. Even thinking about it now, and I'm grown as hell now. So, I really appreciate them showing up for me. And I remember each of them reaching in their pocket, man. And, man, giving me like, I'm realizing now they gave me what felt like it was everything out of their pocket, at the time, man. They just reached in their pocket, just gave me what seemed like all the money they had, you know what I'm saying? Me, I was just excited. I was excited to see my brothers, you know what I'm saying? Because it felt like at that time, it felt like it was too far in between where I would see them. So I was just excited to see my brothers. And of course, I was preteen, or I was probably 10 years old, maybe, you know what I'm saying? I was even more excited that I got the money from 'em. But, I didn't understand back then. Um, what I didn't understand was, that might actually have been all they had. You know what I'm saying? What they gave me out of their pockets, man. Later on in life, I realized those were hard times for my brothers. They were struggling too. They weren't making much money where they were um at their job. They both worked at Oshner Hospital as I think patient transport. Um they were trying to figure out life themselves, you know what I'm saying? But they still showed up for their little brother, and I appreciate them. You know what I'm saying? And that's real selflessness. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like selflessness is a very, very high quality, for fathers. We don't get the recognition, we don't get the all the accolades, we don't get all of the glamorous gifts and stuff like that, but it's our duty to just continue to show up and keep showing up for our kids and our families. So, that's why I'm celebrating Father's Day all month long. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to the dads, you know what I'm saying? I'm not talking about the niggas who just with kids. I'm not talking about the niggas that out here that just got kids. Like, oh yeah, I got 17 kids, but I only see, I don't even see them. This, that, and that. I don't want to deal with their moms. The heck with that, man. I'm talking about the real fathers, the real daddies. You know what I'm saying? Uh, shout out to my little brothers, in particular Sam and Robert, man. Like I ain't gonna tell all their business, but they do what they gotta do for their kids, regardless of what the beef is with the moms. They always show up for their kids. So shout out to them. So that's why I don't take that. The baby mama this, the baby mama. I don't want to hear that. Find a way for your kids, man. Your kids matter. You know what I'm saying? We all need to be a little selfless, you know what I'm saying, when it comes to our kids. I get it, I get it, I get it. You know what I'm saying? I hear the stories, but I know two young men like me who have kids and they not with the kids' mom that still try to make it work. Still try to see their kids. Um, you know, really man, I wanna give like a special shout out to my big brother Marcus. Marcus has been on the podcast before, just this man used to swallow his pride. Yeah, like I told y'all, man. Like, uh, you know, it was rocky when I was little, man. Like, it was a little bit of beef there. But my big brother used to swallow his pride and still deal with my dad just to come pick us up every weekend and making sure we all stay connected. You know what I'm saying? Because my other brothers couldn't do it. They couldn't do it. But that's why I say shout out to my big brother Marcus. Um, he was the one willing to get up and drive over there, pick us up from my dad, and keep us all connected. I was even able to when I got over there, I was even able to talk with my mom, conversate with my mom. Because with my dad, you know what I'm saying, you wasn't just talking on the phone freely. That dude was the feds, man. Shoot, that dude there, man. You wasn't talking. You talking on the phone. You wasn't talking on the phone alone. So if any little girlfriends I had at the time, I was on the phone with you. There's a chance my dad heard what you said. So I'm gonna just let you know that. You know what I'm saying? But Dad, I still love you. You know what I'm saying? But Dad, you something else. Dad know he was something else. He really do. Um, but looking back at all that now, man, my brothers really did show me what selflessness looked like, especially Marcus. You know what I'm saying? Um, they taught me sacrifice. They taught me loyalty. They taught me brotherhood. They taught me that you need to show up even when life gets hard, man. You know what I'm saying? And honestly, I think that's one of the biggest ingredients of being a father. You know what I'm saying? Like the biggest ingredient of being a father, just showing up anyway, man. No matter what, just show up. Show up for your kids. Show up for your family. So, with all that being said, man, leave me your answers in the comments, man. DM me your answers. Don't matter. Send me a long email like my aunt did. You know what I'm saying? I might feature it on the podcast on my next podcast. You never know, man. Um, question I have for the masses, man. What's the most old school thing your grandparents used to do? Now I done told y'all a whole bunch of stuff my grandpa used to do. So, let me know in the comments. Make sure y'all like, share, and subscribe. You know what I'm saying? Let me know what's up. What's the most old school thing your grandparents used to do? Your grandfather, your grandmother, even if some of you are lucky enough to know your great grandparents. You know what I'm saying? What's the most old school thing that they used to do, man? Let me know in the comments. Send me a DM. Might